To pick where a military base goes has to be an easy job. Putting a military base in a place where there's fighting is a no-brainer, but sometimes you find these bases on tiny islands that can't be seen, even when you zoom in entirely on Google Maps and there's also no civilization for miles around. Why they put these bases there is a mystery. Here are 10 of the most remote military bases. Seriously, we feel bad for the guys who are deployed there. Number 10. Shemya Island. Shemya Island is a teeny-weeny outpost off the southern coast of Alaska. It's about 2 miles wide and 4 miles long, which is good news if you hate driving. However, there is constant fog year-round, so good luck trying to soak up any sun. The base was established during the Cold War to watch for suspicious Soviet satellite launches and kind of just stuck around. Nowadays, it houses a United States Air Force radar, surveillance, and weather station. Further, aircraft also refuel there. Number 9. Andersen Air Force Base. Andersen Air Force Base was a huge deal back in the 1970s when it was one of the Army's most crucial FOBs, that's forward operating bases. The base dealt with massive attacks, but also was the go-to place for ammo and backup. It was one of the United States' largest bases in northern Guam. Today, not much happens there except some refueling and ammunition stockpiling. The base gained some attention when it served as the emergency landing strip for the Space Shuttle orbiter. Number 8. Base at Diego Garcia. With its awesome-sounding name, Diego Garcia is a tiny little atoll in the Indian Ocean. The Army has had a base there since the Cold War, mostly so that it can be mobilized in case anything happens in Iran. Today, it's used as an ammo center for the offensive in Afghanistan. The base is held by the Navy and often holds training exercises for new soldiers and the surrounding, mostly Indian natives. Although the island is fairly tropical, seasonal monsoons ensure that troops always carry an umbrella. Number 7. Kunsan Air Base. Kunsan Air Base is located in South Korea and plays host to both the 8th Fighter Wing of the US Air Force and the 38th Air Fighter Group of the Korean Air Force. The American presence there is really just a precaution in case North Korea ever decides it's had enough of South Korea. The base was established during World War II but was primarily used during the Korean War. Then it hosted multiple fighter bomber groups, infantrymen, air wings, and basically everything needed to fight the war. Civilization-wise, it isn't entirely cut off from people, but it is located far away from any other American base. Number 6. Korengal Valley, Afghanistan. America has a number of secret military outposts in the remote desert areas of Afghanistan, keeping an eye for the Taliban. One of those is a base at Korengal, which was vacated a few years ago. Surrounded by mountains, this base has become known as Enemy Central because of the number of attacks that happen on it. In its history, the base has lost 40 soldiers, including a gruesome surprise attack on a helicopter that claimed 16 men. Since not much headway was being made by the troops, General McChrystal moved the troops out of there and into a village where they could protect civilians. Number 5. Pine Gap. It's common knowledge that 90% of the animals in Australia are venomous, which is why a remote outpost in the Australian outback doesn't seem very attractive. Pine Gap used to be primarily an Australian base, but then in 2002 the US Army set up operation there and converted the base into a satellite tracking station. It's historically famous for basically being the Australian version of Area 51. Every few months one rights group or another marches to it and protests about some Australian issue or the other, but given that it's primarily American now, the issue is usually promptly ignored. Number 4. Area 51. Speaking of Area 51, nothing takes the mark for secrecy better than the Holy Grail itself. Well, used to is more like it. Area 51 is situated in the middle of Nevada and is surrounded by miles upon miles of plain desert and the occasional tumbleweed. For the past 50 years, it has been surrounded by a mystery as crazy nuts everywhere have accused it of harboring aliens or alien technology. In late 2011, the base's primary activities during the 1950s were declassified, aliens included. Well, that depends on your definition of alien, of course. If by alien you mean secret Soviet stuff, then congratulations, you were right. But if you meant extraterrestrials, no such luck. Area 51 basically was the bunker that the entire stolen Soviet technology went to for examination. It's where the US found out about fighter jets and the Soviet nuclear program. The entire base is operated by tunnels underground where nuclear testing and other secret tests occur. So everyone was right. Just replace alien with Russian and you're just about there. Number 3. Shamsi Air Base. Shamsi Air Base is located in Pakistan and is occupied by the CIA for various illegal drone operations. For a long time, no one really knew what was going on the base, even Pakistan. It was always a sensitive topic at the international Thanksgiving dinner, probably because Pakistan doesn't like its property getting blown up by drones every now and again. After Obama updated his status to badass-in-chief in 2011 and took down bin Laden from an affluent Pakistani neighborhood, Pakistan had enough, and the base was abandoned. Number 2. Wake Island. Even the name of this place sounds like the location of a zombie apocalypse video game. Wake Island is administered by the Office of Insular Affairs, U.S. Department of the Interior, and an operating U.S. Army base. The Wake Atoll is located about 2/3 of the way between Honolulu to the east and Guam to the west. It's technically an atoll because, in addition to being surrounded by water, the center of the island is also water. The place may look like an island paradise, but is routinely battered by tropical storms and high humidity. During World War II, it was the remote outpost that was supposed to keep an eye on Japan and warn Pearl Harbor if there was an attack. The reason it failed at its job is because before the infamous attack, Wake Island was hit hard by Japanese bombers. After miraculously holding off wave after wave of attack, they managed to send a warning out, albeit a little late. That wasn't the end for the military base there, though. The US entering the war led to many more attacks. One was a surprise attack by the Japanese in 1943 that resulted in the deaths of almost every single soldier on the island. The 98 survivors that were rounded up to kill, one escaped and carved 98 US PW 510-43 on a rock before he too was captured and beheaded. Today the base is largely untouched, but the rock remains as a memorial to those who died in the attack. Number 1. Thule Air Base. Thule Air Base is exactly what you would think of when you hear remote military outpost. It is the US's most northern base in the world, being only 947 miles away from the North Pole in northern Greenland. It is pretty much always ice and snow and cold and everything else that you hate. It doesn't even have any real purpose. Seriously, the base was established as a measure against the Soviet Union, but has seen about as much action as a 50-year-old virgin. Even today, it's supposed to warn the US against any missiles, except there haven't been any, like, ever. Otherwise, there'd be war with Russia. Its only real purpose is to receive new air cadets, presumably to bet on which one drops out first. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below and don't forget to subscribe. We've got brand new videos just like this every day of the week. And as always, thank you for watching.